just jump into theories.
Okay, let's do it.
So I'll quickly just give a statement from the Curry County Sheriff and then a statement from Tara Fisher, which is Shawn's sister, and then we can go into what we think might have happened. So
Okay.
Curry County Sheriff's theory on what happened to Shawn is pretty basic. They obviously the case is still open and active, but they believe that he succumbed to the elements while he was out there, and maybe someday his remains will be found. But that's a pretty good guess what happened.
Yeah, that's probably the most logical explanation.
Yeah. So Tara Fisher, she was quoted as, and this is a direct quote from her, "There have been countless stories and rumors over the years about what could have happened to her brother. Stories from drug cartels to Bigfoot. Some people believe Shawn fell into a ravine so treacherous it wasn't reachable by search crews. Others believe he's not even in the woods at all anymore." So that just shows you a lot of, it's such a strange case. People really don't know what could have happened to him.
Yeah.
For me personally, I think, he could have fallen into some kind of ravine, like she said. We've talked about in the past where when people get, severely hypothermic, they might try to burrow down to get away from the elements. Perhaps maybe he burrowed down into some kind of cave or something, which hampered the ability of search crews to find him.
Mm-hmm.
Cougar Attack. Now, full-grown man, 6 feet tall, 210 pounds at full strength is not going to get taken down. But if he's severely hypothermic and near death,
if he's weak, for sure.
Maybe a cougar might attempt, or a mountain lion might attempt to attack him. Mm-hmm. But again, you would see evidence of that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you'd find, the shredding of clothing, blood stains, things like that.
Yeah, so
especially against snow.
Yeah. Though it was raining a ton when he went missing, so that could wash away stuff too.
Okay.
So I don't know. What do you think happened?
I kind of want to go with the sheriffs. I think it sounds like how thick the forest is. If you trip, fall, injure yourself, you could get stuck in some pretty bad places. I'd say outside of that, it sounds like he was experienced. So I don't feel like it was a got lost type of thing. I think maybe he was hiking and got hurt.
Yeah.
Maybe tripped and hit his head and got knocked out, or had a heart attack or something like that where he became incapacitated.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you're on the ground and you can't move anywhere and you're under brush, it's going to be hard to find you. I just feel like that's the most reasonable thing that could happen.
Yeah, no, I think all those are reasonable theories. I think, too, he obviously didn't have his GPS with him, and just by the fact that he's hunted so many times in this area, perhaps he made it out there, he tied up the ribbons and he got to his spot, and then he got turned around and kind of did the same thing like his son did. He's like, oh, I think the road's that way. Mm-hmm. So he started hiking, and maybe it was, if it's a clear sunny day, you can pretty much, tell east and west.
Yeah.
It's not a secret to anybody.
Yep.
But if it's overcast or, raining, you could get turned around and think you're going west when you could be going east or north. So I'm wondering if maybe he got turned around, started walking in the wrong direction, and then, unlike his son, didn't stop and set up camp and kept going. And maybe
I can see that.
Walked right out of the search area, it got dark, and then he may have injured himself, in the dark.
Well, how about this? I didn't even think about this. They're hunting, right?
Yeah.
What happens if he shoots something, especially a deer? You're going to have to track it.
Yeah.
So he could have been on his normal path, shoots a deer, and then goes to track it. So maybe, and the deer are going to go downhill. They're not going to climb if he hits something. So he could be way off course tracking an animal that he shot.
And then gets injured.
Yeah, and then that could have happened, and he might be way off of. That could explain why, the ribbons ended. Yeah. He still couldn't find them. He could have shot something and went to track it, and they could run for 100 yards.
Yeah, and it could go even farther. Yeah, then he'd walk right out of the search area.
Yes.
And then because of the weather, they weren't able to get helicopters up right away, which might impede on, finding him. And if he was tracking it into the night, I could easily see something happening where he gets injured or falls into a ravine at that point. Or
yeah, my guess is with cold weather, he probably wouldn't want to trek in the night, but if he got lost at that point.
Yeah.
Like tracked it and then got turned around because the weather's coming in.
Yep.
That could make it difficult. Because, yeah, if it's cold, you don't have to worry about gutting the animal right away.
Yeah.
Unless it's like a hot day. Yeah, I think those are the most plausible. What's your off the deep end?
Off the deep end.
Off the deep end.
I mean, maybe there's a serial killer in the mountains that got him.
Okay. And that's why we can't account for any of his gear.
Yeah.
Like he was abducted.
Maybe it was Bigfoot.
Maybe.
No, I think the deep end would be a serial killer. There are stories of crazy people living in the mountains, so perhaps that's what happened to him.
I would agree with you on that one. I think there's no sign or weird suspicious thing that's happening outside of like if it was like perfectly beautiful clear days and everything like that, that's when it would be easier to go off the deep end.
Yeah.
But with all the facts that'll line up, like the point, like it was so difficult to search the entire time.
Yeah.
Just being battered down with bad weather. I think the only off the deep end could be something like that.
Yeah.
Like a drug thing. Like, I don't know why they'd be out there at that time of year.
Yeah. And it's not, yeah.
But like, yeah, if it's just a crazy person, I'm kind of with you on that one for the deep end.
Yeah. But I think the most plausible is probably, I like the idea that he actually shot a deer, and with all the creeks and rivers, rushing, like they mentioned in the timeline, they may not have heard a gunshot. I mean, I've been up north during deer season, and it's usually pretty easy to hear gunshots off in a distance. But
not in thick woods, though. That's the thing. With how thick they're saying it is.
Yeah.
I mean, he could hear dogs barking, but they couldn't hear him whistle.
Yeah, and I mean, if it's really windy and rain is coming down, and the rivers are swelling with water and flowing,
it's loud. It's very loud.
They
it's
may not
super peaceful, quote unquote,
because nowhere in the story did they mention anything about hearing a gunshot. But that doesn't mean he didn't shoot a deer.
Yeah, or if he was lost, if he's smart, what hunters always taught 3 shots. Things in threes. When you're lost, things in threes.
Well, and the son did that, and no one heard it.
Exactly.
I mean, they didn't find him until a couple days.
He did
after
shoot
that.
when a helicopter was over. It's like almost
That's
like
true.
you should have waited till it was gone.
Yeah,
because the helicopter's louder.
Probably
than a
should have
gunshot.
done it when he heard the people talking.
That's what I was thinking. Like if you hear voices, like start shooting a gun off.
Yeah.
So,
and I know we're gonna get backlash. People will say you can't just shoot a gun off into the air, but
when you're lost in the woods,
yeah.
Or discharging the ground or something. But
I mean, we obviously know that what goes up must come down, and if you're shooting bullets into the air, the lead will eventually come back down and could injure somebody. But that remote of an area, obviously, you wouldn't fire the gun in the direction of where you heard sounds from.
Yeah, they're saying straight up in the air.
Yeah.
We are always taught that in hunter safety. It's threes. If you
Yeah.
can get a campfire, do 3 campfires. Like, so if people see 3, that's like because it's weird.
Yeah.
Like if you saw like 3 campfires right next to each other, they'd be like, that's odd. Why do they have 3 right there?
Yeah.
So that's what they say. Like you're supposed to do things in threes. So like you take 3
Interesting.
shots. But yeah, I think the Mythbusters did that where they shoot a bullet up and the velocity coming down because it just tumbles.
Yeah.
It'd be like getting hit in the head with a marble.
Well, I mean, and if you're worried about it, you could shoot it fired into the ground.
Yeah.
But I think Trevor probably at this point has just wanted to get found.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So-
I'd be shooting off in the air, too.
Yeah. So, yeah, unfortunately, I think his dad either wandered off,
I think he got injured while looking for a kill.
Okay.
That would be the most, because if he knows the areas, the only time that would be like, okay, where would he have a mistake? Probably going off what, like, quote unquote trails.
And maybe he shot the deer towards the end of the day and probably should have just let it go.
Yeah.
But it was
and you
getting
pick
dark
up
out.
pick up the, you know what? If it's raining, he might be more like, hey, I better get the blood trail now.
Yeah.
And mark it before, but.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think
it
this
could have been
is-
like the perfect storm of just like bad luck.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he wandered out of the search area, probably looking for a kill, and got injured.
I think so too.
So